What a jaw-dropping scene that really just shows us a glimpse of what this whole movie is gonna look like. So, the trailer for the Sonic movie 3 was released a couple of months ago, and ever since it was released, we have been absolutely dominated by many questions of what could happen in the whole movie, the characters that could come in the movie, and as we've seen in previous videos, the new characters that are definitely coming in the movie. But one of the things that you probably didn't know is that the directors of the Sonic movie 3, knowing about the whole popularity of the new SHIN SONIC tapes, they have introduced an Easter egg scene of SHIN SONIC in the Sonic movie 3. Yes, we have a lot of information of what this scene is gonna look like and how the directors are really gonna make this scene fit perfectly into the whole plot of the movie, because as we know, the movie is still in the works. This is what happens with animated movies. It's not like original and real life movies where they wait a little longer for the release dates because they have to have everything ready. Animated movies are different. The movie is only finished some days before the actual release date, so we know that the Sonic movie 3 is actually still in the works. The editors are working on it, the voice cast is probably done, but the editing is still there, and that's why the director, seeing the whole outcome of the Sonic tapes, i.e. SHIN SONIC, they have decided that it would be a great idea to put this SHIN SONIC thing into the Sonic movie 3 to make it a little bit more interesting than it actually is, and to bring a lot more viewers into the movie. As we already know, judging from the trailer and judging from all the information that we have been able to gather, the Sonic movie 3 is definitely going to be the best movie out of the whole franchise. And this is really not hard to see why, because in the Sonic movie 3, we have a new character coming in, and that is Shadow the Hedgehog. The character that we've been yearning to see ever since the Sonic the Hedgehog franchise began. And that is mainly because if you know something about the Sonic universe, is that Shadow the Hedgehog is the most interesting, the most epic character out of the whole Sonic universe. And with all of this, of course, comes the strength of this character. And this is mainly one of the reasons why this movie is going to be the best, because this character is going to pose a threat and is going to be such a challenge for these guys that they're not going to be able to defeat him alone. That's why they're going to need outside influence and outside forces for them to be able to defeat Shadow. And that's where many of the characters that weren't confirmed in the movie and not even in the trailer come in to really turn Shadow into a different person and make him see that the reality that he thought was real is not actually real, and that's how he turns from an enemy into a friend. Because if you didn't know, Shadow the Hedgehog in the end becomes one of the best friends of the whole team of Knuckles, Sonic, and Tails. Of course, as we see in the trailer of the Sonic movie 3, Dr. Eggman is going to be one of these people that Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are going to go for to be able to defeat Shadow the Hedgehog. But he's not going to be the only one, as Dr. Eggman doesn't really have an influence over Shadow. The only influence that he has is his grandfather, Gerald Robotnik, who is actually the creator of Shadow the Hedgehog in the first place, which is how the whole story of Maria Robotnik and Gerald Robotnik starts and begins. The only difference, though, is that at the end of the trailer for the Sonic movie 3, we see something that is very different from the actual original plot of the games and the series. Gerald Robotnik is alive, and he's even able to communicate with his grandkid, Dr. Eggman. So knowing all of this, we know that Gerald Robotnik is going to be one of the main players who is going to be able to turn Shadow the Hedgehog, because of course he has a lot of influence, being essentially his father and his creator, and another certain character are going to be the main players who are going to be able to turn Shadow the Hedgehog from a villain into a friend of the team and stop him from causing any more damage in Earth. So knowing all of this information, we know that this movie is going to be something special, and we're going to be more than satisfied in theaters when we go see it for the first time. Now, the new details about the Sonic movie 3 is that the directors, after seeing the popularity and the mystique behind the SHIN SONIC tapes, they have basically decided to introduce a scene in the Sonic movie 3 related to SHIN SONIC. And we're going to be able to see the SHIN SONIC tapes in the Sonic movie 3. So this is exactly what we're going to be talking about here today. I'm going to be showing you all the info and all the details about the leaked information of SHIN SONIC and the Sonic tapes appearing in the Sonic movie 3. So without further ado, guys, let's get right into it. So before we get into the leaked scene of the SHIN SONIC tapes in the Sonic movie 3, we have to understand what the Sonic tapes are. SHIN SONIC, or SHINic, is the main antagonist of the Sonic tape series, a series that was made by a YouTuber called Avanimus. This version of Sonic is an absolutely catastrophic version of Sonic, absolutely dedicated on evolving and becoming more and more powerful. A little bit like Shadow, but not to the extent where he has to do it with humans. Shin Sonic, or Sonic, does all of this with humans while consuming them, as well as collecting the Chaos Emeralds to wreak havoc on the world around him. This Sonic character was created, like I said before, by the YouTuber Avenimas in 2020. According to him, he wanted to create a Sonic version that was absolutely evil, not like we see in the series or we see in the games. Can't really happen because Sonic is a kid's game. This Sonic version of Sonic, or Shin Sonic, is an absolutely uncontrolled human being that once resembled a completely dedicated being that had no chance of surviving. But then, little by little, he eventually turned into a beast after realizing that he could feast on something very different, which you may guess what it is. So this is basically what the YouTuber Avenimas created in 2020, and ever since then, this version of Sonic has become a very fun and interesting version of Sonic, which has become incredibly viral all over the internet. The most important part about Shin Sonic, or Sonic, is that he evolves just like the normal Sonic. The first evolution of Sonic looks like a similar Sonic, even though he's pretty thin and he's missing his ears and torso details. His shoes are also lacking detail and his eyes are more black. Then we move to the evolution 2, where Sonic is slightly taller, having longer limbs and an elongated mouth, exposing the gums more. Something that, to be honest, is not really that pleasant to see. Evolution 3 shows a very different Sonic, where Sonic becomes a freakish giant with the limbs elongating again and the mouth widening, now only crawling all fours. Then after that we have Evolution 4, which looks very similar to Evolution 3, though Sonic is way larger, with each of his hands being twice the size of Knuckles and his mouth is way wider. Brief glimpses of it are shown throughout the Cry of the Forest and a dreadful vision. Then, and this is where things get pretty interesting, we have Evolution 5, where we first see him at the end of the Cry of the Forest, and primarily throughout Chaos, the most recent Sonic tapes, and the one that has gone viral all over the internet, and the one that the directors of the Sonic Movie 3 have seen and have decided to put in the movie as a funny Easter egg for the people. Sonic's fifth form has a similar appearance and build to his previous two forms, though he's now as tall as mountains and skyscrapers. It also revealed that despite his immense size, he's still capable of moving at supersonic speeds. Exactly, guys. Sonic doesn't change, he's still supersonic. And then, last but not least, we have the sixth evolution. Not much is known about this evolution, though it appears in a dreadful vision, showing Sonic being the size of Godzilla and having a very long tongue, and it is possible that it could be his super form. And now, about the leaked scene of Shin Sonic in the Sonic Movie 3, this is exactly what we know. An insider working in the Sonic Movie 3 has revealed to us that in one of the parts that we see in the trailer and we're gonna see in the movie, when the three guys see Shadow for the first time, they meet him in the city, literally in the center. Behind them, there's gonna be a billboard showing Shin Sonic tapes. We still don't know which one of the Shin Sonic tapes they're gonna show, but the same insider worker said that in the background we're gonna be seeing none other than the Chaos version of the Shin Sonic tapes. So what do you think, guys? How are you gonna react when you see the Shin Sonic tapes in the Sonic Movie 3 in the billboards?